The men's basketball team hits a slump in Big East play.
Plus, the lacrosse teams play at home. Thank you for joining us. Golden Eagle Sports Report starts right now.
From the Jeannie Hayes Virtual Studio at Marquette University, this is Golden Eagle Sports Report.
Marquette gets the rebound, and the champions have gone.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ruby Mulvaney, joined by Layla Hudson. Layla, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing amazing. How are you?
I'm great. Super excited to be here for Golden Eagle Sports Report. All right, so tonight, Marquette's men basketball looks to snap their 3-game losing streak against the DePaul Blue Demons. Our very own assistant sports producer, Jake Dale, and sports director, Matt Baltz, bring us previews from Pfizer Forum.
Hello and welcome back to Marquette Basketball Previews. I'm here with Matt Baltz. I'm Jake Dale. We're here at Pfizer Forum where Marquette takes on DePaul. Matt, how do you feel like they can win this game? They've lost 3 in a row, Marquette has. How can they bounce back and get a big win tonight?
Yeah, obviously Coach Shaka Smart has said, to us in a lot of these games that, there's underlying reasons as to why this happens. It kind of goes further than the box score, but I could simplify it for you and tell you that, they've missed a lot of open shots. They've generated a lot of looks for themselves. They haven't been turning the ball over at a crazy rate, and they're forcing turnovers. They just really haven't been hitting a lot of open shots. And this is a more than capable team from deep. We've seen it. David Joplin, Stevie Mitchell, Cam Jones, Chase Ross, Ben Gold. They have guys, Zay Lowry even. They have guys that can shoot the ball. So I think it's really about, continuing to generate open looks, making those shots. And, players I look for, Ben Gold, he's only scored 2 points and had 2 rebounds in the last 3 games, but he hasn't been shooting the ball that much either. So his confidence, I look for it to get back up tonight. And then Chase Ross is a guy, he had 2 points last night, or not last night, but in the last game against Creighton on Saturday. He got into early foul trouble, so look for him to really get going today and maybe hit a couple threes, get some momentum going. And, obviously what Cam Jones can do. So their offense just got to get back on track in this one.
For sure. Is there anyone besides Chase Ross, Ben Gold we should look out for tonight? Any surprise factors? Anyone big for Marquette?
I think Stevie Mitchell, he's had a plethora of 20-point games early in the season. He hasn't had one, I think, in 3 or 4 games. So I look for him to get back in it, get to the rim. DePaul doesn't, offer the most resistance in the paint, so maybe he gets to the rack, finishes, nails a couple threes. He was 2 for 10 on Saturday. So look for him to maybe nail some shots and, have a good game for Marquette for sure.
Absolutely. Do we have a final score prediction, Matt Baltz?
I'll go Marquette 81, DePaul 64.
Well, you heard it here first. Make sure to follow MU Wire Sports for more. For Matt Baltz, I'm Jake Dale.
Thanks so much, Jake and Matt. On Sunday, Marquette women's basketball traveled to Indianapolis where they faced off against the Butler Bulldogs.
Despite the early deficit, the Golden Eagles' offense comes alive in the form of high-quality looks under the basket from Lee Volker and Haley Weiss. Weiss and Forbes led Marquette in scoring as they combined for 26 points.
Even as Butler continues to score, the Marquette defense put Butler in the doghouse where they convert turnovers into transition buckets as third-year guard Kennedy Perkins gets this and one to fall.
As halftime nears, Golden Eagle point guard Jaden Mason finds this mid-range jumper and gives Marquette their first lead of the day.
Coach Consigra's squad continues to expansive defense intensity, and they generate chaos into transition points early in the second half.
Third-year guard Olivia Porter went 2 for 2 from 3 on the day, including this one, which pulled the Golden Eagles within 1 point.
A final layup from Skylar Forbes seems to give the Golden Eagles an edge with under 2 minutes left to play, but a late push from the Bulldogs was all too much for the Golden Eagles as they fall in a 65-67 final.
With the loss in Indianapolis, the Golden Eagles moved to 7-5 in Big East play.
Marquette women's basketball heads to South Orange to play Seton Hall on Wednesday.
The Golden Eagles look to bounce back against Creighton Blue Jays after their 2-game losing streak. The first half of the game is an up-and-down battle with both teams trading consecutive buckets. However, in Marquette fashion, the Golden Eagles find themselves down early in the half, playing catch-up with the Blue Jays. Marquette struggles to close the gap between Creighton, but senior guard Cam Jones gives the team some hope, hitting a clutch buzzer beater heading into the locker room for halftime. Coming out of the half, the Golden Eagles pick up where they left off, going on a run of their own, inching closer and closer to the Blue Jays. With 6 minutes left in the game, Marquette makes headway, taking the lead from Creighton 61-60. However, that would be the only lead the Golden Eagles get, as they become a little complacent with the lead. The Blue Jays run up the score in the final 5 minutes of the game, coming out with a win at home, 67-77.
After dropping 3 straight in Big East play, the men's basketball team dropped in the rankings once again.
The boys now find themselves at 18 in the latest AP poll, dropping 7 spots.
Marquette is now 3rd in the Big East, falling behind St. John's and Creighton. Coming up, how did the lacrosse home opener go?
And who will win our weekly awards? Find out after the break.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
Home fire drills give your family a plan of action. In a home fire, you may have less than 2 minutes to get out. So when you drill, show everyone 2 ways out of the house, pick a safe meeting spot, and get there in under 2 minutes. Then practice home fire drills at least twice a year. You can even make them fun. So everyone knows the sound and exactly what to do when they hear a smoke alarm. Go to ready.gov/fire drill and learn how to prepare your family for home fires.
Hello and welcome back to Golden Eagle Sports Report. Once again, I'm Ruby Mulvaney.
And I'm Layla Hudson.
The men's lacrosse team welcomed the Titans from Detroit Mercy, looking to bounce back after losing to Michigan.
And the Titans quickly opened the scoring with 2 goals to take the lead early.
But the Golden Eagles attack the crease and answer with 3 goals of their own to close out the first period.
It doesn't take the Titans too long to play catch-up as they net another goal to tie the game at the start of the second.
But senior attacker Nolan Rappis and the Golden Eagles have other plans as the Delafield native notches 2 points in the quarter to give Marquette the 2-point advantage heading into half.
The Rappis attack isn't quite over. The senior attacker puts on a show during the third period.
Rappis tallies 3 goals and 2 assists in the third in dominant fashion.
The Marquette lead starts to build up and the Titans quickly fall behind.
The Titans won't be remembered this time around as Marquette snatches the win, 16-6.
Bobby O'Grady and Nolan Rappis had a day.
O'Grady scores 5 goals and tallies an assist in the win.
And Rappis cements himself in program history as he scores a total 10 points with 5 goals and 5 assists.
He also earns a spot on the Big East Weekly Honor Roll after his big game. It wasn't just a regular season game for the men's lacrosse teams, it was the home opener to remember. Adrian Fraga brings us more.
February can be depressing, but not when lacrosse season arrives. It was cold outside, but warm inside the Dome at Valley Fields for the men's lacrosse home opener versus Detroit Mercy. Fans crowded the stands and brought the energy right away.
Playing with energy, playing with effort, having a crowd really root you on contributes to that, and adding to the celebrations and exciting moments.
And there was a lot to celebrate, including senior attacker Nolan Rappis. Rappis shines as he tallies point after point after point. The Wisconsin native scores a program record 10 points and puts on a show.
I'm just really happy for him, and I know that he's going to be big for us as we move on to the season, and having a game like that is huge for confidence and momentum as we look to lean on him moving forward against some tough opponents.
Marquette dominates in the home opener, securing a 10-point win in front of the home crowd. And while the team starts the season off 1-1, this home win is one to build off, and the team will look to carry on the momentum for future home games inside the Dome. I'm Adrian Fraga, Marquette Wire Sports.
Chicago Maroons for their debut expedition scrimmage.
The Golden Eagles set the tone early, scoring 2 goals off the bat and taking the lead.
However, UChicago did not make the trip out to Milwaukee for nothing, as they respond with a goal of their own.
Going into the second quarter, the Golden Eagles continue to expand on their lead, scoring their 6th goal of the match.
UChicago responds once again, scoring a goal of themselves, bringing the score to 7-4 at halftime.
In the third quarter, both teams continue to battle it out, going back and forth scoring goals.
But as the game is coming to a close, the Golden Eagles begin to take over the game.
Scoring goal after goal, the Golden Eagles make a statement and defeat UChicago 19-7 in the exhibition.
The Golden Eagles show their preparation for the regular season to begin this week. After a busy week in Marquette athletics, some Golden Eagles soar higher than others.
Starting us off with the Team of the Week award, where the men's lacrosse team takes the honor.
In their home opener, they took care of business versus Detroit Mercy, beating them 16-6.
A huge factor in the men's lacrosse team's victory is our MVP of the week, Nolan Rappis.
The senior attacker sets the program record, having 10 goals in the game, leading his team to their first victory of the year.
While it's been a rough week for the men's basketball team, sophomore Zaid Lowry shines as this week's rising star.
Lowry's spark off the bench did not go unnoticed, averaging 8 points and 5 rebounds a game this week.
Now, for the 6th Woman of the Week, we have Kennedy Perkins of the women's basketball team.
Averaging 7 points and 3 assists on the week, the junior guard is emerging as the leader of the team's second unit. And coming up this week in athletics, we look forward to a lot of exciting games.
The men's basketball team starts off Marquette athletics this week with a home game tonight at Pfizer Forum against DePaul.
The women's lacrosse team are set to make their season debut Wednesday in the afternoon for an away game versus Central Michigan.
Later on Wednesday night, the women's basketball team is heading to St. Paul to play an away game.
Now on to the weekend, the men's lacrosse team face off against the Fighting Irish at Notre Dame on Saturday morning.
And this week of Marquette athletics is capped off Saturday night, where the women's basketball team hosts the DePaul Blue Demons at the Al McGuire Center. Coming up, what went wrong for the Chiefs? Plus, who won the NBA trade deadline? Find out after the break.
Oh, look, a redhead. Staring contest. You still got it.
I know.
Come alive with the forest.
The dad was cute.
You were looking right at us.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Sometimes the things we do or say can make others feel hurt, excluded, or isolated. Everything you say and do creates an impact.
How am I supposed to save the whole world? You can't think about saving the world. You have to think about saving one person.
Because of you, someone's entire life can change. You don't have to be a superhero to have a positive impact.
Friends?
Friends.
party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
Action!
And welcome back to Studio 7 as we discuss the Super Bowl and NFL honors. Joining me on the panel tonight is Brian Wilson and Zach Palmaville. Let's get right to it. In a pure Super Bowl blowout, the Philadelphia Eagles are this year's champions. Who is to blame on the Chiefs for this embarrassing loss? Will we ever see a team three-peat? Personally, I think the O-line is at fault. What do you think, Brian?
I could not agree more. I think the O-line was a huge problem in the game. And it was a huge part of the defense of the Philadelphia Eagles that led to that. The problem for the Chiefs all season was that offensive line. They struggled to stop protecting Patrick Mahomes. Their all-pro left guard was moved to left tackle, Joe Thuney, halfway through the season. And they got 6 sacks with negative 31 yards total. That was a huge problem. And then there's just so many stats. Like, they were honestly the best defensive performance since the 1985 Bears in the Super Bowl. Huge. Cooper DeJean was the second rookie ever to have a pick six. Reggie Phillips was the other one. That was the 1985 Bears team he was on. And then also the amount of yards that the Chiefs got, 23 in that first half. That was the lowest in Super Bowl history since Super Bowl 20, when the Patriots had negative 19 yards and the 85 Bears held them to it. So it was a really good defensive performance by the Philadelphia Eagles, and it was led by Josh Sweat, and that was the huge problem is Patrick Mahomes did not have the time to get rid of the ball, and he really had that time when there was no pressure put on him. He pretty much was not blitzed at all. He's the sixth quarterback ever to not get blitzed at all. And all 6 of those quarterbacks have lost in the Super Bowl, so just not a great performance from Kansas City.
Yeah, I agree. Sacks was a problem. What's your thoughts on it, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. The Chiefs could not stop them. They got credit to Philly. They got there with 4, and that's how you got to do. Well, that's what you got to do to win a Super Bowl. That's what you got to do to stop a great one like Mahomes. But honestly, I'd say more than anything, Mahomes had his worst game of the year, and his receivers played awful. They had Kelsey dropped 2 balls that were easy catches, easy first downs that could have started their offense early, and then they just could never recover, especially after Mahomes threw a horrible pick six. I mean, that going down to 17, when it was 10-0, we all thought the Chiefs couldn't come back. When it was 17-0, we were like, okay, maybe they have a chance. When he threw that second interception to Zach Bond, and then Eagles scored a touchdown right after, we all knew it was over. There's no way that they could have done anything from there. But what I will say, though, is I think what they should have done differently is not have 11 rushing attempts, not have Mahomes be their leading rusher. The best way to get rid of, pressure is to combat it with the run game and attack. They're running at you, so protect yourself and get yourself through it.
Yes, I definitely agree. Now moving on, the NFL MVP was finally crowned last week when Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen won the award. On the other hand, Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson was named to the AP First Team All-Pro. Did the voters screw up or does Josh Allen deserve the honor? What do you think, Zach?
I definitely have to say Josh Allen should have won it. I totally agree that the MVP is, that's the thing. It's a stats award now, and it's kind of annoying how it's a stats award. And that's the thing. People are going to say he's the MVP because of the stats, because his stats were so much better. But I think Josh Allen should have won it. because Josh Allen had 0 All-Pros, 0 Pro Bowlers. He brought that team to 13 wins when they had no business being in 13 wins. I think Lamar Jackson, the Ravens team, they would have at least had a winning record without Lamar Jackson. I can't say the same thing about the Bills.
He did bring 13 wins. What are your thoughts on it, Brian?
I think you're totally wrong, to be honest. The Ravens, yes, were expected to do better, and the Bills were not. They weren't expected to be in the playoffs. But ultimately, when you have 41 passing touchdowns to only 4 interceptions, you're supposed to be the MVP. You cannot say that statistically that it shouldn't be a stats award, because you're the best player on your team. You're putting up the biggest numbers, and that's what he did.
He had Derrick Henry,
who had 16 rushing touchdowns this season. But you know what? Josh Allen, running back, also had 16 rushing touchdowns than James Cook. So that
James
argument
Cook
doesn't.
had 1,000 more, or Derrick Henry had 1,000 more yards than James Cook.
But 41 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, and 48 total touchdowns. That is an MVP. That's a guy who comes up clutch when it matters. And ultimately, Josh Allen had a great season. But when we're talking All-Pro, Lamar Jackson, without a doubt, I think we can all agree he was an All-Pro. And I think Josh Allen was not, which is why he wasn't voted that. But I do think that the most valuable player is the guy that does the best for his team, and I think that was Lamar Jackson. And I have a stat for you guys. 1987 was the last time a quarterback was the MVP and was not also the All-Pro. That was John Elway in 1987, and Joe Montana was the first-team All-Pro. So it's been a long time since we've seen this, and it's just like Lamar put up the stats. He kind of got rid of that mantra when everyone was like, he's a running quarterback. He did a lot better than just run the football. He threw 41 touchdowns. If there's a running quarterback out of these two, it's Josh Allen.
You both had really good points. Moving on now. The trade deadline has come and gone, and teams are now acquainted with their new players and draft picks. Looking back at the deadline, which team had the most underrated transaction? What do you think, Brian?
I think it has to be De'Aaron Fox. I think everyone looks at Luka Doncic to the Lakers. Oh my gosh, but we're talking underrated and a guy who's going to make a difference for years to come. De'Aaron Fox in 2022-2023 season was an All-Pro. He was an All-Star, and he is number 4 all-time in the Kings scoring points. He is 4th all-time with north of 11,000 points. Unbelievable player for the Kings. Granted, it's the Sacramento Kings and not the Boston Celtics or the Los Angeles Lakers. So if you're comparing all-time great players, he's not that. But he's going to make Victor Wembanyama a better player. Victor Wembanyama is going to make him a better player. And they have a chance to compete for championships and get to the mountaintop in the NBA for the first time in about 10 years with this move. And this is a move for the future, where the Luka deal is a move for right now. When you're talking about AD going to Dallas, that's to compete for a championship right now, where Luka is more for the future. And I think the more for the future is also De'Aaron Fox. And 100%, I think the biggest trade, and it would have been the biggest trade if it wasn't for Luka Doncic, that overshadowed that. What do you think?
Well, let me ask you a question first. Who do you think's going to win more games after the trade deadline, Golden State or Sacramento or San Antonio?
I think it's Golden State because what you have Steph Curry. Steph Curry's a better player than
he
it's 100%. But when you look at the team around they're trying to win a championship now. When you trade for Jimmy Butler, you're trying to win a championship now. I'm saying when you look at 5 to 10 years down the line, San Antonio will have multiple championships thanks to the move.
I absolutely agree. But I think the reason for this trade in the trade deadline and I mean, it was a big trade when it happened, but it's still overshadowed by the Luka thing, like every one of these trades. The thing is that Jimmy Butler has been absolutely on a tear with Golden State. He got the money that he should have gotten, and he's going to play there the next 2 years and go crazy. I mean, he's already averaged 22.5 points in 2 games. Golden State has scored 125 with him and 132 in those 2 games. They only scored 3 times over 125 this year before those last 2 games. He is going to be an instant impact player. He's going to be the reason that they make make a better run than San Antonio would, and they're going to make a better run. They're actually going to get into the playoffs and be something rather than being nothing. So when I'm looking at what's the most underrated trade deadline, I'm looking at Jimmy Butler because he's going to make a splash right now. And that's why the trade deadline happens, because it's a player making a move right now for a team to win a championship.
There was actually another trade that I think people were kind of wondering, like, how do a lot of people think about this? So Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk was traded to Toronto, or traded from Toronto to New Orleans, and Brandon Ingram was traded from New Orleans to Toronto. We were talking before the show where we thought that was a player that maybe Milwaukee should have went and got instead of Kyle Kuzma, because that's a guy who can bring Milwaukee over the hump, and he's a better scorer. Because you trade Chris Middleton, like, Kyle Kuzma is not a better scorer than Chris Middleton. I think nobody can argue that. And now what is Toronto doing? Because you're probably trading him in a few years.
I don't think anyone knows what Toronto's doing.
And Kelly Olynyk, last time he was good was when Jared Sullinger was on the Boston Celtics. If you're not a Boston Celtics fan, you probably don't know who that is. So that's the last time Kelly Olynyk was good.
Honestly, I think that whole Toronto deal, I don't know why they didn't try, because that's the thing. New Orleans is obviously just tanking now because they're getting rid of Ingram. They're not going to do anything. They had a horrible record already. They lost to DeJounte Murray. Why not flip Bruce Brown? He was on that Denver team, and he's the reason their bench was so good, and that's why they won the finals, because they had a bench. We saw them last year. They didn't have a bench. They went out in the second round. So I don't understand. I really don't understand the move by either team, but I think when we're talking who needed to be in a certain place, I think Jimmy Butler needed to be in Golden State. He needed to be somewhere that he could help someone win. And I agree with your point that De'Aaron Fox is going to be a player. He's going to be it's going to be a crazy duo going forward. But this year, Jimmy Butler's the guy.
I do have a question for you. So Jimmy Butler, throughout his career, has been traded quite a bit. He loves playing wherever he's playing, and then he is like, you know what, I don't like this anymore. I'm going to go hold out, blah, 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 blah. And then he gets traded. So what's going to happen in 2 years when he's like, I don't want to play in Golden State? Steph Curry's not here anymore. I don't want to play here. Like, what is he going to do now? How do you trust that he's going to continue to be the kind of player that we expect him to be?
Yeah, adding on to that, do you think there's going to be drama with Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green together on a team?
I really don't see it. I think it's definitely possible. It's something we got to look out for, but I don't see it in the next coming years.
That's a good point. Well, wrapping up, thanks for the great discussion. We are out of time. Tune in next week for all of our coverage of Marquette sports and more. I'm Layla Hudson for Ruby M. Good night, Marquette.
We scored? Yeah, we scored going to the playoffs. I can't believe I missed that. Every time I'm buzzed, I spend too much time on my phone. What? I should take your phone away. No. I'll call for a ride. Wait, why does my face look like that?
I'm playing with these new face filters.
Okay, you know what? Yep, that's mine.
Kevin, I need that back.
No.
Kevin!
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Never gonna let you go.